Welcome to the Positive Pants Podcast. Mindset, motivation, and inspiration to help you find your positive pants. Let go of negative thinking and stop living for the weekend. With your host, Fran Excel.
So welcome to the show. As always, it's Fran Excel Mindset Coach, helping you find your very own pair of positive pants so you can get out of your own way and live a life that you love. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm very grateful you've chosen to put me in your earbuds today. Please do hit the subscribe button so you don't miss anything, and do leave me a review. I love reading them, and it really helps me get found by other people who need to hear what I share. I'd also love you to email me your mindset and productivity questions or topics you'd love me to cover to hello@franexcel.com, because I know a lot of you think I'm inside your heads because you tell me all the time. But if I don't know what you need, I can't give it to you. So let me know. So, do you feel like you know what your priorities are? As always, this counts for both your business and your life. Or do you often feel like you're spinning all the plates and at any moment they're all just going to drop? If you struggle to see what your real priorities are and get stuck in that busy being busy tasks, then feeling like you're not really getting anywhere or jumping from shiny object to shiny object, you are not alone, my friend. So when you're in a job, it's often a lot easier to know what your priorities are because you'll be led by management based on the business priorities, targets, goals, aims, etc. So essentially, you get told what your priorities are. But if you don't know what your targets, goals, and aims are in your business, it's really easy to see how the priorities can get lost in the ether and be harder to spot. So there is an element of juggling to be expected between business and life priorities. But it's just about being able to identify if priorities need to shift in the moment, or if you have to use your self-discipline to stay on track and not get blown off course. So behavioral flexibility is always going to be a keystone to success because life happens, right? But the more you practice and become aware of what the real priorities are in the moment, then the easier it's going to feel. So helping clients prioritize is a big part of what I do. So helping them get out of those moments where their focus is gone, or when they think the thing that they think is the priority actually isn't really, and it's causing them frustration or distress in some way. So you can see why it's important. Now, there are a ton of different ways and modalities for prioritizing, and you need to find the way that works for you. But I'll talk you through a couple of my favorites, and I'll also talk you through how I prioritize so you can decide what's going to work for you. So a very popular method to work out your priorities is super simple. It's the Eisenhower matrix. Now, it's simply splitting tasks into a quadrant with urgent versus non-urgent, important versus important. So you put all your tasks in those boxes, and if it lands in urgent and important, it's an obvious priority. Easy peasy. If it lands in the urgent and not important box, these can be those tasks that you delegate. We love to delegate. So things that don't need to be done, that they do need to be done, but awful things aren't going to happen if they don't get done right now, or can easily be done by someone else to leave you free for the things that are more important. For example, that Facebook post that didn't go out today, If it lands in the not urgent but important, then decide when it needs to be done and schedule a time to do it. Yeah, that doesn't have to be right now, but it has to be at some point. And it's just a case of scheduling it in. If it lands in the not urgent and not important, delete it. Delete it now. These are the things, there are things that are going to come up every day that seem super important, but be honest with yourself. Do them if they are, while keeping the bigger picture and the end goal in mind, so you're always moving forwards. So the next thing is my scary brain dump to-do list. And I repeat this because this has come up on several episodes now. Yeah, I talk about this a lot. But it's worth reinforcing, because often when clients go back into overwhelm and I ask if they've done this, the answer is no. Then they go do it. Priorities straight, no more overwhelm, magic. And I'll make sure that there is a link in the notes to my template. But here's how it works. Split a page horizontally into 3 columns. Column 1, scary brain dump part, yeah, where you put everything down that you're telling yourself you need to do. Middle column, take the tasks from column 1 that absolutely have to be done this week, or there are consequences for you or someone else. And then in column 3, split into the number of days that you're working for that week. And every day in the morning, take just 3 tasks from the middle column, yeah, that have to be done that day. But be honest with yourself. You know, they have to be done that day, or there are consequences of some kind. So you're always having to be honest with what the real priorities are. You know, it forces you to think that way. And once you've done your 3, you can add another and feel super accomplished and productive, but it will always keep you honest about what really has to get done. And for me, it's all about what's going to move the needle the fastest, be that financially, audience growth, or creating headspace in some way. Essentially, what is going to get you to your goal and where you want to go the quickest. Yeah. So the next one is eat that frog. I love this one. I've spoken about this one before. People have a tendency to avoid certain tasks for a number of reasons, but what those tasks do is stay in our minds like a pesky little gremlin taunting us with its presence. Takes away your focus, takes away your motivation, and sends you straight to procrastination station. Now, the quickest way and the best way to get rid of that pesky gremlin is just to do the task. Yeah, it'll often take a fraction of the time that you're telling yourself it will, and it will honestly create so much headspace and relief for you that the pain of getting started is completely worth it. And then if you compare the time that it actually took to do that task versus how much time you spent thinking about it. So my favorite person in this field is Brian Tracy. My favorite tool of his is detailed in his book, Eat That Frog. Now, it's the idea that you tackle the biggest, scariest task first, and then everything after will feel so much easier. It works an absolute treat, and is often one of the first questions I'll ask a client if they're stuck in overwhelm. Which task would create the most headspace for you right now? And often just doing that means you get so much more of your priorities done anyway. Genius. So you're probably starting to see why I link mindset and productivity together in my business. It's why I'm a mindset and productivity coach and mentor. They are intrinsically linked. So often we think we have a mindset problem, and it's actually just a few simple productivity tweaks that are needed. But on the flip side, we can often think that we have a productivity problem, but actually it's an unconscious mindset issue that's that's sabotaging your progress. It is difficult to know which without talking to an expert. So that's where people like moi come in. So here's a few other little prioritization tips for you. So stop telling yourself everything is just as important. That's a big one. You know, it's not true, really. There may be a few things that are on the same level of importance and urgent, but not everything. And if that's the case, pick one based on the other things that I've talked about, and then it's go time. And then do the next, and then do the next. One foot in front of the other. Also, on some things you may easily look at as urgent, such as emails, what can you put in place that makes them less so? So for me, having an auto response set up on my email is a game changer, because it allows me to work how I want to work and schedule how I want to schedule and minimize context switching. So people are addicted to instant gratification. You know, that's why if we get a notification, it's like it taunts us until we get rid of it. Must die notification. But they also crave acknowledgement. And often an acknowledgement that their message is being received and a little bit of a time frame to expect a response can be enough to keep the wolves from the door. So you're not constantly context switching and having to drop everything the second an email comes through. Okay? Bear in mind that we often think something is really urgent, but it's really not. So just be aware in those moments, catch yourself and ask yourself the question, what happens if this doesn't get done right now? Are there consequences for me or other people? If so, what are they? Yeah, That'll help you prioritize. But perhaps most importantly, if you are consistently putting something off, it's time to ask why. So much of what we procrastinate over, put off, and deprioritize is much deeper rooted than we think. Yes, there's the age-old, I just don't want to do it. But sometimes it could be what we're telling ourselves happens once the task is done. So stories about what we commit ourselves to, what we're making it mean once it's done. There could be a fear of success, fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear that we'll have to keep doing something that actually deep down we don't want to. That comes up time and time again. People setting up businesses because they can, not because they actually want to. So many things, unconscious beliefs, can contribute to why we're not doing something. It's all from our unconscious programming. As soon as you work out what that is, you get the power of awareness, which gives you choice and responsibility, which then gives you much more to work with in terms of what is really a priority and what's not. So how I like to think of things to help me prioritize are to ask the questions, what's going to move the needle fastest? What would create the most headspace for me if it was done? How does this task push me forwards to my goals? What are the consequences if it gets done or not done? And just be honest with yourself and challenge your thoughts, or be around people that will. So come join the Proactive Pants Mastermind if you want my help and my eyes on your priorities. But that's one of the reasons I set this up. It's difficult to do by yourself. Absolutely, it comes with practice. The more you do it, the more you work it out. So that is there for you too. So if you got value from this and you know in your gut that now is the time to step up and start rewiring your thinking and changing things for yourself, then book in a free discovery call so we can work out what needs to happen to get you from where you're at right now to the action-taking success you know you can be. And if you want my eyes and ears on your problems, I work with people one-on-one and through my Proactive Pants Mastermind. So stop waiting for if and when and decide to change things now, because you can. And as always, I hope that was helpful. So any questions, just let me know. And as always, I will see you next week. Bye.